Thought I'd just have a quick chat with you about anti-roll bar links. If you see my video from last year, I replaced my old original drop links, sway bar links, whatever you want to call them, because one of them had been an MOT advisory. I mean, anti-roll bar links are pretty straightforward things. They just stabilise the rear suspension. So they have a fairly simple but important job to do, and they just consist really of a threaded bolt, which will finish in a ball joint, which goes into here. That ball joint is packed with grease, and then the grease is protected by a rubber boot. This particular one is a genuine Volvo one. Not sure whether you can actually see it. Yeah, there it is, printed just along there, and I'd actually done about 170,000 miles, been on about 12 years, and I actually kept it because it was in reasonable condition, and I actually replaced it for some OCAP ones. I'll talk to you in a second about the OCAP ones. As it is, I'm having to now change again after just a year, so I'm actually going to give some Melee a try. They seem pretty good in comparison to the Volvo. Nice thick stem. I've also used Melee on the front, and front anti-roll bars actually have a harder life. They also have to twist with the steering, so they have a threaded bar which goes that way, and then one that goes that way, so like an S shape. And the Melee have held up very well in just over a year at the front. Nice large joint there, obviously plenty of grease in there, nice big size boot to hold it in, and they actually seem, for the money, pretty good value at the front. So I'm going to give some an experiment at the back. Basically these cost me £12 each. If I was going to go genuine Volvo, they cost £90. Obviously the genuine Volvo have lasted 12 years originally, so it could be money well spent if you're hanging on to the car for a while. But I've been very impressed with the Melee, so I thought I'd give them a try. I'm not a Melee fanboy at all, I just give credit where it's due. I wouldn't have Melee wishbones on my car, for example, but I've got Melee shocks, and I'm just about to fit some rear shocks as well. So on certain components, they do seem to offer pretty good value and seem to be decent enough quality. I'll be letting you know in a year, though, whether or not these have stood the test, because these are the OCAP ones that I've fitted. I may as well call them OCRAP, because they've been absolutely awful. I had to do it kind of last minute last year. I didn't really have much time to get this sorted, because one had failed on the MOT, one of the original Volvo ones. So these are available. They're about £11 each, so only £1 cheaper than the Melee. And I mean, you can see in terms of the size of the ball joint, or rather, the boot, there's quite a considerable difference there, and it's going to hold. There's going to be less flex for when it does have to move, and it's also going to hold a lot less grease. If you put them side by side, there's also a difference in the thickness as well. So, and the reason I've had to take these off, obviously, I wouldn't have taken them off just to do an experiment. It's just that they're knackered. These have done about 7,000 miles. As you can see, the rubber boot is completely split on it. If I pull it out just here, you might be able to see. It's actually gone completely, and you can actually see the ball joint inside of there. There it is. So with where it is on the suspension, that's going to get washed out. That grease is going to get washed out in very short order. The whole ball joint will then seize, and potentially it could put undue stress on the link and actually break. I wouldn't mind if they didn't at least have the good grace to come off easily as well. I've actually had to cut these off because the way that they fit them on the Volvo, you have like a hex fitting in the end to counter hold the bolt whilst you're tightening the nut. sorry, not a hex, it was a Torx on this, whereas on this it was a hex fitting, and it rounded off when I was trying to remove them, so I've actually had to cut them off with a Dremel. And it's pretty annoying, really, you know, that they've scrimped on OCAP have scrimped on what is an essential part of your car suspension, and they've scrimped in a really crap way. You know, they've put nowhere near enough grease in, and the boot just isn't big enough to absorb any movements and what have you, and so over time it's just split, and that is a year. That's 7,000 miles. Now, I don't do big miles, so I've got a year out of it, but if you're doing 20,000 miles a year, you're looking at this going within about 3 or 4 months, which is just frankly unacceptable. I don't care how cheap it is. It's just rubbish. It's garbage. So if you're thinking of going for OCAP links, just bear that in mind, because you might be changing them again a lot sooner than you'd like to. And I can assure you that if in a year's time I have the same problem with the Melee, I'll be complaining just as much about that. So I will do an update in a year on the Melee, and let's see how they've held up. So there you go, a little drop link buying advice for you, and I hope you find that useful. Thanks for watching.